Made for Me, Chapter 47. That day, Lars didn't drop by but called her once to check in. "I can't force you to leave," he warned good-naturedly, although Danielle felt his voice carried a hint of strength. "No need. I'm exhausted and will be leaving soon." At home, she received a call from Giles, who told her the season was officially done and that he was closing the shop. "It's ski time," he said happily. He told her he'd see her at the restaurant. "I grew to like the turkey dinners with stuffing when I was in the States. Good for my pot belly." That night, Lars called and kept her talking until 11, despite what he'd said about letting her get some sleep. Wednesday night, she let the conversation continue until 10 and then stopped him short. "If you were going to be such a distraction and kill my numbers, you should have just come over here so we could talk in person while I trade." He laughed. "My counter-proposal is that you bring your laptop and a change of clothes to my place. I'll make dinner while you work." "No way," she rejected. "How much longer are you going to stay with the weekends only thing?" Danielle impatiently tapped the keyboard, watching the seconds tick by on the computer. "You know exactly how long and the reasons for it. Of course, I'd love to hear how that conversation with Ulrich is going to go, with a discussion about how lower rates of returns are acceptable." Lars agreed with her conjecture, but it didn't alter his desires. A night here or two during the week isn't going to hurt anything, and if it makes you feel better, we can both pull out our laptops and get some work done. It's what couples do, work from home side by side in bed. As if that were decided, he told her to bring a change of clothes every time she came over. The whole notion of becoming a semi-permanent fixture at his apartment was thrilling and scary. "Are you sure?" she asked, her heart picking up speed. "Danielle, this is what couples do," he said, as if she'd missed the most obvious part of being in a relationship. "They are together all the time." "Except at work," she interjected, "where we don't interact all that much. I know you want this, Danielle, as much as I do. Don't be scared of it. It will be as natural and wonderful as everything else we've experienced." Danielle renewed her focus on work, and Lars did his part, doing his best not to distract her for the rest of the week. Friday, he picked her up, they went to Zermatt, and spent the weekend roaming the countryside by foot and also by horse. She made good use of the hot tub and sauna. Lars even called in a masseuse to provide his and hers massages in the downstairs spa. It was heavenly. 2 months after she'd started seeing him, she gave in and spent Wednesday night at his apartment. She had arrived expecting to be nervous, but she wasn't. In fact, she slept great, traded above par, and at Lars' insistent request, spent Thursday night with him as well. Then it was Friday and another weekend in Zermatt. That pattern held for the following 2 weeks, and somehow she was able to maintain her numbers. Lars shared her love of food and took great pleasure in introducing her to out-of-the-way places she would never have found herself. She was invariably exhausted each evening, soaking in the hot tub before they relaxed next to one another, speaking half English, half German. "You have to be the soundest sleeper I've ever been with." "It's because I'm getting a lot of exercise in and outside the home," she replied suggestively. She'd planned on going home for Thanksgiving, but her father talked her out of it. "You'll be coming home for 3 weeks over Christmas," her father said, his voice sounding tired. "This is the end of the year for you, the final push. Don't miss 4 days for me when we can enjoy more time together in December." He was so insistent she ultimately agreed. Thanksgiving dinner was at Stars and Stripes. Danielle was helping out the waitstaff because they'd made the decision to stay open extra hours. The waiting list was enormous, and neither Lonnie nor Danielle felt good about Americans missing a good homemade turkey dinner. At 12:01 a.m., Danielle switched the music over to Christmas carols, causing the patrons to erupt in a spontaneous cheer. It was strange and uniquely American, she told Lars, who stayed the entire night. She eventually ate at 2 a.m., when the last patron left and Stephen locked the door. At home, Lars rubbed her feet before kissing every part of her body. Before she fell asleep, Danielle said a prayer in her heart for her father. Her last thought was one of joy at being in the arms of a man who loved her more completely than she felt possible. She had never been happier.